Hi everyone, Yasas Kefalograviera to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to be bringing to you another quick and easy weeknight dinner idea. I know you guys love them, you've been asking for them, and I've just been working hard to create new ones. And today we're going to be making a skillet pastitsio. It's the quick and easy stovetop version of the classic Greek pastitsio. I've done several different variations of pastitsio and I love this one. Everything comes together in one pan on the stovetop in like 40 minutes, and then you're going to end up with a juicy, cheesy, delicious and creamy pastitsio that your whole family is going to love. Let's get started. Okay, this recipe begins by finely chopping a medium or large size onion. Get it into a skillet that is oven safe, especially broiler safe, because it's going to go in the oven right afterwards. And since we're doing quick and easy, we don't want to wash more pans and stuff like that. So this stainless steel skillet goes into the oven and under the broiler, no problem. The onion goes in the pan with a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to cook these onions on high heat for 5 minutes just because we're being mindful of time. Once the onions begin to get a little bit of color on them and they start to soften, we'll go in with 5 or 6 garlic cloves that are grated, and my garlic stays grated in the freezer, so it's going to take a few more seconds to thaw out in here. You just want to cook your garlic for a few seconds until it's fragrant, because when garlic is grated, it can burn. So you don't want burnt tasting garlic in your meal. Once that's done, the meat is going in. I'm using ground beef today, 2 pounds of it. The beef is going to go in. I'll break it up and season it with salt, freshly cracked black pepper. Then I like to go in with a little bit of crushed red pepper flakes for a little kick of heat, a little pinch of cinnamon to make it nice and aromatic. A quarter to half teaspoon is all you need. You'll barely know that it's there, but it's just going to smell so lovely. And I'll mix the meat up and cook it over high heat for another 5 minutes, just until that pinkness goes away. Then I'll add a pound of pasta. You can use your favorite pasta for this. I'm using this penne rigate. You can use small shells, rigatoni. Whatever your favorite pasta is, whatever you have is what you're using. This is a weeknight meal, so this is what I have, this is what I'm using. And then I'll go in with a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. You want to use a tomato sauce that doesn't have too many ingredients, or you could use crushed tomatoes instead. I'll also add a bay leaf, 6 cups of water. You need lots of water for that pasta to cook. And some more salt. I'll put a whole teaspoon of salt in here. There's a pound of pasta. That's a lot of pasta. Give everything a mix and bring this mixture to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, reduce the heat to medium-high, and let this cook for about 15 or 20 minutes until that water is absorbed by the pasta is al dente, and then the sauce is nice and thick. Finally, chop some parsley and add it in with a teaspoon of dried oregano. Give everything a mix and a taste, and if it needs more seasoning, you could add it in at this point. While the noodles were cooking in those 15 minutes, you could just go ahead and side by side make the bechamel sauce. I'm using a traditional bechamel that requires cooking, but if you prefer a quicker and easier version, I do have a yogurt no-cook version on my website under Moussaka Stacks. And I'll put it down below so that way you can access that if you prefer to do that. But it's so simple to make bechamel. We're going to take about 5 tablespoons of butter. You can use butter or olive oil for this. A quarter cup of all-purpose flour. Cook it over medium heat until the flour is lightly toasted. Next, I'll pour in 4 cups of cold whole milk. Season it with a little bit of salt, freshly cracked black pepper, and a quarter teaspoon of ground nutmeg. This is going to cook until the mixture begins to boil and thicken. That's just going to take a few minutes. And then I'll just stir in a few tablespoons of Parmesan cheese or Kefalograviera. Mix that in and take it off of the heat, and the sauce is ready. As soon as your noodles are cooked, the sauce should be really thick. It shouldn't be watery at this point, and the longer it sits, the thicker it's going to get. So even if there is a little bit of liquid in there, don't worry about it. Noodles soak it up pretty quickly. I'm just going to pour this bechamel sauce on top. Some of it is going to seep into the noodles and just make them really creamy. My oven is preheated to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. You want it really nice and hot. And now we're just going to put the skillet in here on the highest rack so it can be closer to the broiler element. And we're going to let this broil. I am going to turn the broiler on now instead of having the oven on. And this is going to broil for about 7 to 10 minutes until the sauce thickens a little bit and it gets some beautiful color on top. Take it out of the oven and let it sit at room temperature for about 15 or 20 minutes so it can set, and then it's ready to serve. And just like that, pastitsio is ready. It'll be on the table in under an hour. There's just a little bit of cleanup and this delicious dish will be ready for your family to enjoy. It has all of the flavors of classic pastitsio. I made a traditional bechamel on top, but I've made moussaka stacks. And instead of making the classic bechamel, I did a yogurt-based bechamel that doesn't require cooking. You can definitely substitute that bechamel for this one. It's much easier. You won't need another pan. You just whisk everything together in a bowl, pour it on top, and you stick it under the broiler for 5-10 minutes, just like we did here, so it can get some beautiful color. And the dish is gonna be ready. I'm gonna leave it up to you which one you're gonna make. Cannot wait to bite into this. It smells amazing. Now, if you serve this right away, once it comes out of the oven, you do want to let it set for a good 15-20 minutes, just so that way the cheese stops bubbling and the sauce settles and thickens just a little bit more. And the longer it sits, the thicker it's going to be. But if you want to serve this family style, you could scoop it out into dishes and serve it, and it'll be just as good. I like my pastitsio a little bit loose anyway, but it's up to you. Oh my goodness. So good. I love cooking pasta in my meat sauce. The starch that it leaves gives it a little bit more of like a velvety consistency. That bechamel sauce is nice and light. I made it a little bit thinner than I normally do, which just means that I put less flour in it. If you like it a little bit thicker and if you want a chunkier layer on top, you just add, instead of the 1/4 cup of flour that I put in, you could add 1/3 of a cup or even a tiny bit more. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. The exact measurements and printable recipe card are on the blog, dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And if you want me to bring more quick and easy weeknight dinner recipes to you, comment down below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.